Thank you and welcome for joining us again here on the Fairfield Media Center. My name is Jason Strong, and I'm here today with Mayor Connie Boyer for the city of Fairfield. And we just want to be able to go back, retouch on some of the city council items that pertain to the community and things that would interest the community, things that the community should know about, be aware of, and I'm guessing, have that as much transparency as humanly possible, because today's world is changing so fast, so dramatically. Lack of radio stations, lack of newspaper stuff, the traditional means of getting information out there. And with social media kind of taking over, not everybody's on social media. Not everybody is on every single social media platform, which there is a plethora of. So we're sitting here, we're going to do our part. We're going to be meeting with you guys, hopefully after the council meetings to go over those important things. And there's always important things that the city is dealing with and having to contend with. Yep. So
yeah, sometimes it's boring. Sometimes it's exciting. You just never know.
City council meetings, they're a business meeting. They can be a little dry at times. And so this is a little bit friendlier atmosphere in some ways. Yeah. It's a little more laid back. And hopefully we'll be able to get the information to you guys in a way that you're not always going to be falling asleep.
Right? There you go. So this is about October 13th, just this week. Today is October 17th, so just to give you a time reference. And I know one of the things that I try to do during the meeting, because sometimes the action items, are in legalese, and that's the way they have to be written. So I try to, bring it into layman's language. But what are we doing here?
Legalese can definitely be a challenge to understand. I know there are times where I'm reading through the agenda while live streaming and things like that, and it's like, huh?
Yeah, right. What does that mean?
What does that mean?
And I do read the legalese because that's what I'm required to do. But again, when it's more complicated, I do try to say it in layman's language. Because I also go back to Rebecca sometime and go, what are we doing here? Because there are certain legal things that happen that take 4 steps, and it seems like that was the same step as the last time, but they're just these minute steps that have to be done each time. Now, that's not a more complicated thing, debt and that kind of thing.
And people don't always understand the difference between private and public and how they're two different operating systems a lot of times, too. So.
Yeah. So one of the first things that happened this week is we welcomed Victoria Thompson as the new representative for Ward 3. So got that done. So that was a good thing. And her term will be for 2 years. Normally a council member's term is 4, but she is filling the term for Judy Ham. And so Victoria will be here for 2 years, and then she'll have to run again if she wants to.
Yep.
So she's just now getting her feet wet. And I'd like to say that also, that just at the beginning of the meeting, we always have, of course, roll call. And I always ask for changes of the agenda to see if anybody has anything to add at last minute, because maybe something came up. And once we got that agenda set, we pretty much stay on that agenda. But we also have a consent agenda. These are the things that happen every time.
The business part of that business meeting.
Right. The minutes from the last meeting, minutes from special meetings or committee meetings, that kind of thing. Some of our other committee meetings like beautification or the library, those kinds of things. And then claims, which are, what are the bills we had to pay, right? And then we always note out those bills that are over $75,000 because that's what we're required to do. So now what's interesting is some of the bills that keep coming up over $75,000 are Alliant and are healthcare premiums for the staff and waste management. Those are pretty regularly coming up now of over $75,000. It didn't used to be. So that's kind of interesting.
Yeah, everything unfortunately goes up in price. It seems very rare that things ever go back the other direction.
I know, right? Oh, yes, that is very true. So I think the thing that we wanted to focus on tonight, after we get through that consent agenda and then we do public forum and appearances, these are people who want to come to the to the council and address the council. And I just want to say we're not scary people. So come and tell us what you're thinking.
Absolutely. And there's a process for that.
Yes.
Now that I believe you go to City Hall, there's a form that you can fill out and turn back in. And I'm assuming that's also available on the website to be able to print out, fill out, and then turn that back in. So, and what's the lead time on turning that in to get on?
Well, we want that in, I think it's Friday at noon. I mean, we're usually sending out that agenda as soon as we know Friday morning when we feel like we have it wrapped up. So the perfect is Thursday at noon, but
so the Thursday before a council meeting is kind of like your last chance to get that form in to come before the city council and express what needs to be conveyed to the city council.
Yeah.
So.
And just know that, let's just say if something really urgent came up, you could give me a call even on that Monday and say, hey, this came up, or I just saw this on the thing and I really want to point out this thing. I can still give you a platform if it's needed. But the big thing is, any ordinance goes through three readings 99% of the time. So there's, again, every once in a while, there's some strange reason why we're trying to push it through some ordinance very quickly, and generally that's because it has some
a date outside your control changed or something along those lines.
So generally, it's been through committee maybe a couple times, and then we're going to do an ordinance, and that's going to be over 3 meetings. So that's another 6 weeks. So generally, I just want to say, don't get excited. There'll be time. And anyway, so under resolution action items ordinances, one of the first things we talked about is the beautification, is trying to find grants for the downtown bathroom. It's in need of repair desperately, and that's all I'm going to say. I've been kind of pushing the council to fix this thing or tear it down.
It's been I've seen it on the council's agenda several times over the years. It's definitely been there.
Yeah. So hopefully we'll get some real action here this next year. A citizen came to us also about Walton Road and suggested that miles per hour is 45 and maybe it's a little bit too fast. So Melanie looked at it. That's part of her job, and she does recommend going to 35 miles an hour.
Is that between Pleasant Plain Road and the country club itself, sitting
and
right there?
The Walton Club.
Sorry.
Yep.
Sorry, two very different things, and I just labeled it the wrong one.
Right.
So that's between Pleasant Plain Road and the Walton Club. That area right in there, correct?
And if you go up there, that road is pretty rough, and I think that's appropriate. And as more houses get built out on Walton Road, and you're coming up a hill and you got people coming out maybe from a residential house, I think that's appropriate that we slow it down just a little bit. So
and on gravel, gravel is one of those things you always want to be careful on to begin with anyway. So
yep. So and then let's go to the ordinances, because that's the big thing that we wanted to talk about today, really. So the first ordinance we had, wait a minute. Let's not go to the ordinances yet. Back up. Next Monday, or Monday the 27th, we are going to have a public hearing, and this is related to resurfacing Adams from Main Street to 6th Street. So that always happens, where, again, the community can come and talk and maybe ask questions about, why that street needs to be fixed. What's going to happen if my house is right there? How do I deal with my driveway? All those kinds of questions. So there's a public hearing. We open it up and let people comment or ask questions during that period. And then the public hearing gets closed. So on November 10th, which would be the next council meeting, I believe, the next council meeting, then we are going to open the bids for that project. So we'll, get bids from different companies. They're going to tell us how much it's going to cost, and I'm sure it's going to be more than what we want.
Like I said, prices are always going up.
Right? Exactly. Okay, so now let's get to a couple of those ordinances that we have. We've got four ordinances.
I was going to say there was a lot on the agenda this time around.
And these are all first readings, mind you. So they'll go through 2 more readings. So we've got a whole nother month yet on these if you want to comment. The first one has to do with activities on Walton Lake. And in an essence, I shouldn't say in an essence, it's really in essence. Here are the things that you can't do. You can't swim out there, can't go out wading or bathing. Well, and this is also, it says reservoir too, or Walton Lake. So I guess those are both of those. So no swimming or bathing in number 2 pond, which is called Pleasant Lake right now.
I believe so.
Yeah, I always say it's always number 2 pond to me. And Walton Lake, so no swimming out there. And you're actually not supposed to ice skate out there. Or ride snowmobiles, slide, or sleigh upon the ice. Or the city-owned land adjacent to the reservoir or Walton Lake. So those are some things you can't do on the lake. I didn't know you couldn't go ice skating.
Yeah, I wouldn't necessarily think ice skating, but I could definitely see the snowmobiling, the sleigh riding, anything that has that substantial weight.
Yeah.
I don't know how thick ice on a lake that size would get necessarily.
Well, it all depends, of course, on the winter. But I can tell you, this was 35 years ago. I was with friends on a New Year's Eve. And we decided to go. It had been really, really cold. And we did go ice skating on Walton Lake. And then about 1 o'clock in the morning, I don't normally stay out that late.
It was also 35 years ago.
Right? I was much younger then. And somebody from the Walton Club drove their car down there on the lake and was cutting kitties.
Oh, geez.
And I thought, this person is completely losing his mind. He's got a death wish. And the ice started cracking, and I went, okay, I'm getting about a foot from the edge because if I fall in, I only wanted to go up to my ankle. And so that's my story about Walton Lake, and I apologize for ice skating on it. I didn't know it was not allowed, but everything turned out fine. The guy left, and thank goodness, because I was worried that he was going to go down in that pond, and it was dark, and it was cold, and he wasn't going to come up. So anyway. You can't have motorboats out there, right? Anything with a propeller, or you can't create a wake, anything like that. You can't take,
like a canoe or kayak or something.
Yeah.
Kind of hand driven.
Yeah. Yep. Let's see. Talks about hunting over here. Can't put any dock out there. A raft, a platform, or similar device. So houseboats, boathouses, any of that stuff can't be out there. Hunting, no person shall discharge any cannon, shotgun, rifle, pistol, or any other firearm or air gun in the area.
Sometimes I always find it interesting that the word cannon gets brought up, but at the same time, I know several people who own cannons.
Really?
So yeah.
Do they shoot them?
Like just powder shot, 4th of July type stuff, when everybody's already making a lot of noise.
I was going to say, do they dress up in, the Civil War area to do that kind of thing?
They don't take it that far.
Yeah. Okay. No person shall shoot a bow and arrow or other projectile over the land in the area or from land owned by the city around city-owned reservoirs, except specific clubs and organizations that have been granted the right to shoot in designated areas. We all know that the gun club is out there. That's okay. We know that there is
And again, that's a designated area.
That's a designated area. And we do have an ordinance where you can bow hunt deer. But again, you've got to be very specific about what that ordinance says. So you can't construct any hunting blinds or other structures like that. No littering, no horseback riding, no overnight camping. So that's pretty much it. Those are the things you can't do in a nutshell. So that is, I don't have an ordinance number yet, but that will be on there. We'll have a number for it next time. So,
And then just as a reminder, ordinances and things of that nature can all be found on the website as well,
Yes.
correct? Now,
Yeah.
now is that like in this process, would they wouldn't be in like the actual ordinance place yet because
No,
they're not
correct.
in place.
Right.
But on the website, you go to where the agenda is, the calendar
Yeah.
thing. You can go back, look at past agendas, click on those
Yep.
PDF documents, and find the exact documents that we have right in front of us right now. And I'm happy to put that link up on the screen. That way, people know exactly where to go.
yeah. The easiest way is just go to the homepage for the city and then scroll down on the right, go find that calendar, and click on, what's it say? Something about events. And then
It
you,
might just be events.
yeah.
I'm
Well, then,
not sure
and
if
then you
it's-
can click on the date you want, and the agendas will be right there.
Yep, everything's hyperlinked.
Yep.
As much as possible. So.
Yep. So that was our first ordinance we talked about. Well, we already talked about the 35 miles per hour on Walton Road. And then we have a amendment to Title 16, which is fire of the Fairfield Municipal Code. So I think there was a small change there. I'm blanking out. What did we change? Talked about controlled burns here. So brush piles, controlled and prescribed burns, and costs and stuff like that. So, that we don't deal with very much. But anyway, if you do burning in the city, you'll want to understand what this says.
Yep. Especially now it falls just around the corner. People are going to be wanting to burn leaves and things like that. So please be aware of the local ordinance and things of that nature. So, you don't end up having a phone call being made or somebody complaining and
That's right.
and having to deal with some rigmarole.
Yeah. So the next ordinance, which I find fascinating, it has to do with the garage sales, but the part I find fascinating, it says, an ordinance amending Title IX of the Fairfield Municipal Code, Chapter Public Peace, Morals, and Safety. So just seems like a funny title.
Yeah, kind of a funny title too.
Yeah.
For what it is.
Yeah. So this is brand new for Fairfield, and it is really it's not that scary, really. It's just regulating garage sales and yard sales. And basically what it says is you can have up to 4 garage sales in a residential area a year. If you go beyond that, maybe it's not just, you're not just selling your stuff, right? It's, okay, do we have a business going on here that we need a home occupation permit? That kind of thing. So it's very simple, really, and that in essence is what it is. But, again, if you like to do garage sales at your house, you might want to check that out.
But and if I remember, it's kind of I'm guessing in coinciding with the title, it's basically like being a good neighbor, keeping the clutter down, keeping things like that, not wanting to set a precedence for somebody having a bunch of stuff out in their yard all the time, constantly.
Absolutely.
Type thing. So it's being that courteous neighbor. It's being aware of your neighborhood and things of that nature. So.
And also along with that, you can't put your garage sale signs up on telephone poles.
Yeah, I was going to say that's kind of been the practice for quite a few years, I think, if I remember correctly.
Well, we banned that in the sign ordinance years and years and years ago, and it really helped clean up the town. Mm-hmm. Now, I would say every few years it starts to get a little yard sign creep.
Well, you get new people who move into the community and may not be aware of things like that, and so you're always gonna have some type thing. But I will say, I remember growing up as a kid, stuff on telephone poles all the time.
Yeah.
So
well, if you go to a big city, it's there a lot, and it really does make the town look junky. So I'm really glad that we have that in our sign ordinance. And here again is another place. So because you wouldn't think if I'm going to have a garage sale and I'm going to put up a sign, that you would think to go to the sign ordinance and say, oh, can I put up my garage sale thing? So it's in two places now, to be real clear.
And I also think social media has probably helped a great deal with that, believe it or not, because where do people tend to post a lot of things? They're going to go to social media. You can tag addresses. You can, navigate, do all that stuff through them. So I'm sure that's kind of helped that situation as well.
Yeah. As I say that, I think we need to add maybe a couple things, because I think the sign ordinance says that you have to have your phone number or your address on that sign. I think there might be a couple things that we might need to add here. So that's one reason we have 3 readings, is because we get feedback from you, or the council might think of something that also needs to be in that ordinance they hadn't thought of before. And so that gives everybody time to think about it more and go, oh, well, we missed that. So again, that happens from time to time. I think that's pretty much it. But again, if you like garage sales, you might want to look at that. Do we want to talk about the administrator's report at all? Is there anything there?
I was going to say, if you guys aren't aware of city council meetings, there are the city administrator's report, and there's the report that Melanie gives on the different projects that are going along as well from her side of things. Yep. And there's always a list. The city always has projects going on. Yeah. And so there's never a dull moment, that is for sure. And so, but they give a fairly brief synopsis of each of those projects at the end of their council meetings. Yeah. And so again, there's always stuff. Right.
And we're getting towards the end of the year, so soon we'll be in budgeting again. And so I'm just going to say also that if you see something in your neighborhood that really should be addressed from the city side, let us know. Yeah. Or find out, if your street is, for example, if your street's really bad and you go, when's the city going to fix this street? Right? We have a 5-year plan for streets. It depends on how much traffic goes through there. It depends on a lot of things.
And if the city isn't aware that your road has maybe gotten worse sooner than expected, it's going to be somewhere on that list, maybe further down, and you guys may not be aware of it. So again, it's that open communication, letting the city know, saying, hey, my street's full of chuck holes, and you could lose a small child in one, type thing. Right. Or whatnot. I know years ago, I used to live on East Adams, and it got pretty bad there for a little bit, and then I moved, and then you guys repaved the road.
Yeah, we just had to wait for you to leave.
Right?
Yeah. Well, and to that point, actually, I think it was last winter or the winter before, a business owner called me and said, hey, you need to come uptown and look at a couple things. And we had a lot of snow, and the guys, the street crew with those big maintainers, sometimes they'll clip something with the edge of that maintainer, and they don't realize it because of all the snow, right?
And you'd be surprised what you don't feel in machinery that big.
Yeah.
So
on Burlington, a big chunk of cement had been pulled away right where the drain was.
Oh, wow.
And, it was, hey, we could lose a small child down there kind of thing.
Yeah, or a pet.
Or a pet. Something. And I was really glad he called and pointed that out. So I immediately, and this is where I just really thank who we work with. We got good people working at City Hall. Mm-hmm. I called our city administrator, sent him a picture, and he got somebody from the street crew out there right away. And within a couple days, they had it fixed. I had the curb rebuilt back up so that nobody would fall down there and get really seriously hurt or, again, lose a pet. So that would be really unfortunate. But
I want to say there's been times where I've seen city crews out in the middle of a holiday trying to do repairs on something, that just has to be done.
Yeah. And I think we've had 3 water main breaks just this last week, I think. And I think that's because of the ground shifting and cooling down, and
Moisture in the ground affects all sorts
yeah. So we're probably not out of the woods yet by the end of the year for that kind of thing. And it's kind of a, it's a pain for our crew, but they have to deal with it. So that's
Sewer
part of
and
it.
water, they're important.
That's right. Because when you don't have it, you really want it.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. Yeah. So from my perspective, that's our wrap up of October 13th. Right? October 13th.
Yep. Next one will be the 27th, I believe.
Yeah.
And city council meetings are on the second and fourth Mondays every month. And you guys actually just here in the last few months started a study session that falls beforehand. And that's typically a 6:30 start. I think
Yes.
you've had one or two maybe start at 6. But again, that's being aware of when meetings are going on. But
Yeah.
city council meetings, for sure, 7 o'clock. On the second and fourth Mondays of every month, except for December, you guys typically have one
Just one meeting. Correct.
in December. So,
Yep.
But yes, definitely go to the website, which I believe is
City of Fairfield, Iowa.
cityoffairfield, Iowa.com. It slipped my mind. I don't know why.
Yeah.
That's such a thing to remember when you're
Right.
talking about the
Yeah.
city of Fairfield.
But I want to point out, too, about the work sessions. We changed that at the beginning of 2025. And the reason we changed it is, well, first of all, city council members are busy people. Sometimes it was hard coordinating their schedules. And so sometimes some things got delayed, and we wanted to, get the ball rolling on things. And so this way, number one, it's predictability for you, for the citizens, to be able to know we're having a work session before every council member. And it's also live streamed and recorded. It's not in our other conference room where it's limited space and you can only have a dozen people in there. It's in the council chambers, so many more people can come and listen. And it also gives the whole council an opportunity to ask questions and discuss certain topics and determine, do we need to do any more research? Now, if we determine, and sometimes this happens at council, but even in the work session, if we determine that a certain committee really needs to dig into this really deeply, we'll assign it to that committee. But we're trying to do more through the work session process so that's more transparent for the community, and they can be engaged and be listening and watch at your own time. Maybe you're not on the live stream, but you can watch it the next day, whatever.
Exactly. And correct me if I'm wrong, you guys don't make decisions at the study sessions.
Correct.
It's discussion.
Yes.
You guys are hammering out, maybe a couple of subjects or a subject at a time.
Yeah.
And so, like you said, it's that time where you can flesh things out and have more of that openness rather than
be real
in
formal.
in that business meeting setting where you go, okay, we got to keep moving, type thing. Let's send this to committee and maybe bog down a committee where you guys can flesh it out more and
so
determine it.
Lots of times there gets to be a consensus, but there's no formal motions and voting. Yep.
So, and we include that at the beginning of our live streams, and when we record the Fairfield City Council meetings, they're all in one video for you guys. And we also make the links to those live streams available on the agendas as well. So when you go to the city website, you click on the agenda, the hyperlink for the Fairfield Media Center live stream is right on top, highlighted in blue.
Yeah.
So.
Yep. Awesome.
Well, awesome. Thank you very much, Mayor Connie, for being on here with us and making sure the community knows what's going on in the best way we can at the moment.
Yeah. And, we're trying to do different things. So we're going to do this now. Hopefully we'll have different people, maybe from city council or a city staff member here too. Almost every month I do community dialogues with Werner Elmker and bring in a guest, a council member, a staff member. So that's another way. We're just trying to hit different ways because people watch different things. And anyway, and if you've got an idea, we're open to more ideas too. So
absolutely.
Which reminds me, work sessions. I'm just going to say one more thing about work sessions. I am hoping that after the first of the year that we'll continue our work sessions to the end of the year, and then after the first of the year, one work session every quarter will open up to the public.
Okay.
They can just come in and ask questions. Now, that's assuming that I'm still mayor. So
This is true. We do have an election coming
have an
up
election
right around
coming
the corner, November
4th.
Yeah.
Yep.
So make sure you guys get out there. You use your right to vote and be able to participate in your local government and who represents you. Now we did live stream and record the candidate forum that the Chamber of Commerce put on. And so that's also available on the Fairfield Media Center YouTube channel and website. So please go there, check it out. Again, stay informed. Be up to date on what's going on in your community and have fun doing it.
And we thank Jason because we couldn't do it without him. He's the guy that makes it happen. So we do appreciate everything that you do.
Well, I'm very happy to do it. It's not always the easiest in the world on the back end stuff, but well worth it indeed.
Yeah.
So, well, thank you everyone for joining us. Tune in next time following the next city council meeting, and we'll bring you up to date.
Great. Thanks.